Dr. Rodney Gernert, and I'm from West Cornwall Township. Along with me are
Dennis Tulli.
And Ron Ricard.
Ron is chair of the organization that you're going to hear about. Rodney's a citizen of West Cornwall Township, as am I.
Last night I attended a meeting that raised a number of concerns in West Cornwall Township. I am originally from Lebanon County, grew up here, moved away for about 4 years for full-time employment, moved back to this area because of the beautiful area in which we live. I've lived here approximately 40 years. Apparently there was a grant that was submitted for approval, and at the meeting last night held at the Fairview Golf Course, there seemed to be some inaccuracies that were reported in gaining your approval. So I'd just like to talk a little bit about those inaccuracies that were reported at the meeting last night to bring your attention to what may be those inaccuracies. It was reported that ordinances were ignored, and in my copy of the ordinances, when the area, the tract of land was changed from being C2 to C1, I was at the meeting where the ordinance was changed and where that land was changed. It was billed as being land that was going to be for stores and retailing of food, clothing, drugs, personal service shops, banks, sit-down restaurants, businesses and professional offices, medical and dental offices. That was the focus of what that land was supposed to be used for. The grant does not follow those expectations in allowing for a 62-unit high-rise that is going to be for low-income housing or any type of housing, since that was only billed as being for businesses along Route 72. I've come to learn that Gretna Springs is affordable housing, that it was inaccurate that it was stated that there was no affordable housing. There is affordable housing in West Cornwall Township. Other inaccuracies were the location in the application, that it was not stated to be at the location in which it is planned to be, that the land was not suitable for farming and that might as well be used for high-rise. As a resident of West Cornwall Township for over 40 years, I can attest that that is very much good farming land. The problem, however, is that the good farming land was stripped from that surface and clay exposed. So it's almost as if someone wanted to buy a tract of land that was wetland, pour ground into it, and then say, oh, it's not a wetland, let's build on it. So the land was actually made not suitable, not that it wasn't suitable. It was also stated that the water authority was perfect and good for the development. And having gone through the hearings for the development that is to the west of the town of Quentin, the Scenic Ridge development, Quentin Water Company is based on gravity, where the water tower is on a hill and the water flows down into the town. That development is on a hill, so they're actually going to have to pump water up to it. The water pipes in Quentin are 6 inches. There's an 8-inch spur that's been added to the water company pipe to put water to that development. Already in Quentin, if someone is taking a shower upstairs and someone is washing dishes, you can lose water pressure. So we also wonder about how is water going to be able to make it not only to the Scenic Ridge, which is already approved and under works, but to something that is just basically in the approval stage. Schools. Even with the Scenic Ridge development, it was already talked about that Cornwall Elementary, which is the closest elementary school, would probably not be able to take additional students, and those students would then have to be bused to another elementary school. Now, I haven't talked with the school officials, but that was what was talked about even with just Scenic Ridge. Add another 62 units, and I don't know where those students will have to go then either. Median income was reported last night as being off. The fire and police, the fire company, Quentin Fire Company, has already said that they cannot service any more development in the township. The water is already taxed with the water level, the 6-inch pipes and everything. They would not be able to fight a fire there. There would be an additional police force that would be required for additional housing with the Scenic Ridge, and this, almost a doubling of that, which would account for about a 30% rise in homes in the area. The police force would have to be expanded, which would mean more in taxes. public transportation.
May I just interrupt you for a moment?
Sure.
How far into your, your comments are you?
I'm close to the end.
Okay, only because public comment is meant for, we would be happy to have a workshop for you guys if it's gonna be an hour or something like that.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm very close to the end.
Very good, thank you.
As an educator, I've used the book Human Geography as a teacher of AP Human Geography, and in Chapter 11 addresses this type of development and that it shouldn't be taking place in a rural setting, but rather in an urban setting like this. And that's supported by the German geographer Walter Christaller, who passed away in 1969 and talked about central place theory. And he talks about how the public transportation, all the public services that would be required by these 62 units, by the people that would be moving into these 62 units, none of that is available in that area, near the new Eagle Rentals, near the Sunoco, near the Quentin Riding Club, near the Quentin House Restaurant or Hotel, or the small communities in the area. Already we're seeing a new development with lights and a new traffic signal and an entire intersection reworked. This could push for another traffic light within a couple hundred feet from that traffic light. And so in closing, I'm just asking for two things, actually three. One, I would request that you check this information. Don't just take it from me, but check it. And if this is accurate, please put a hold on your approval of that application to Harrisburg before it's even read. Because if this information is accurate, that I told you, that inaccuracies were reported to you, that application may take away needed housing in another community somewhere else in Pennsylvania that would probably need it. And that would be wrong as well. Also, and I don't know how this would work, but you were given inaccuracies. I'm enlightening you to those things. I would also ask that those people that were giving you, that have given you inaccurate information, that they be held accountable for that misrepresentation. And thirdly, if at all possible, just as a wetland would have to be returned to wetland if it was destroyed, that this land be returned to being usable land once again. Thank you very much.
February hearing where you voted 2-1 to approve this grant, Commissioner Litz so aptly put it that this was a shoddy application and that she questioned the location and the farmland issue. Since then, we've uncovered a tremendous amount of information. I talked to Brian Huffman, Lebanon County Housing Authority. The numbers stated here, 3,300 applicants for low-income housing in Lebanon County, is inaccurate, grossly overblown. Matter of fact, he couldn't tell me if there were any people that needed affordable housing in West Cornwall Township, and we do have 200 units of affordable housing in West Cornwall Township. The second thing is the zoning ordinance that Rodney referred to was completely ignored by these people. They did an end run on West Cornwall Township supervisors, and you asked them to be here, and you even asked them how West Cornwall felt, and he answered that he had talked to their engineer, and he had talked to the owner of the land, and he had support for it. Well, in fact, we had a meeting last night for West Cornwall Township and the surrounding area. Over 200 people attended. We have all kinds of petition signatures against this project. But most importantly, you asked how West Cornwall Township felt about it. And with this opposition, I'm going to tell you, this ordinance specifically states that a C1 neighborhood high residential density project must be in harmony with the community and adjacent areas. And I want to tell you, if you wanted to see disharmony last night, I mean, this is not harmonious with where they're proposing it. So we've come up with new information for you, and we would like you to reconsider
We have a
this.
copy of that, so that we'll have,
The ordinance?
no, the points that were made.
Sure.
But also, did the township supervisors take action last night?
No, it was not a township meeting. It was a
I thought you
meeting
said-
of the citizens who started with 10 people, and in 5 weeks.
I was
we
going to say,
were
that
over
seems
200.
like a remedy right there at the township level. that-
They can't they can't because they have no proposal in front of them. See, that's what's so confusing about this. This whole thing has been researched by the other side that wants to develop it. They came to you and they submitted it to the state. But nobody asked West Cornwall how they felt about
Well,
it.
but then at that point, it could be declined as far as.
Well, if it's zoned for that, if it's zoned for this, it certainly, what would it be declined on unless they had this kind of information?
Well, you have the,
Well, we do, but it hasn't been on their agenda yet. I'm anxious for
just
that.
saying.
I'm anxious for West Cornwall to get it on the
we
agenda.
wanted the township supervisors here, their council
Right.
said that they shouldn't show up, that a lot of these things may have been able to then address.
Absolutely.
at that
Our
level.
concern is that in this grant, they asked for a grant and they asked for $1.5 million in tax credits. And our concern is that they would get this and move forward and then go to West Cornwall. This should really be, in my opinion, this should be stopped before it even gets to that point. But I appreciate your time and thank you, Joellen, for asking us to move.